Greetings. I'm Kathy. I'm with the Friends of Arlington's David and Brown Planetarium, and we're happy to bring you another talk. Tonight we're going to have Deb Fuller presenting to us on archaeoastronomy, and I'm going to make sure that I did not turn down my audio, and I'm going to make sure that she has as much time to talk as possible. If you have any questions for Deb during the talk, you can post them in the comments section, and we'll see if we can get those to her. But Deb, why don't you go ahead and take it away, and let's hope that the storm doesn't knock the power out anywhere
I
while
know,
we're
right?
doing this, right?
Perfect timing. I know. We were just griping about, hey, we haven't had any rain in a while. All right. So, yeah, hi, my name's Deb Fuller. I spent 8 years running planetariums, including 4 years at the Einstein Planetarium at the National Air and Space Museum, which is currently under renovation. But I did that a long time ago. And so that was kind of my dream as a kid. I wanted to be an astrophysicist, but didn't have the math skills because it takes a lot of math to be an astrophysicist. So, I instead started running planetariums. I started in college and then did worked at National Air and Space Museum afterwards, and then moved on to do education and science education. Wrote some curriculum from NASA and the government, and here, there, and everywhere, because life is a journey and not a guided tour. And currently, I write curriculum for an educational publishing company. But one of my first and enduring passions is archaeoastronomy. I'm going to talk about that tonight, which is the study of ancient sky watchers and their monuments. And it's really cool. So I will see if I can share my screen and look technologically competent while I do that. All right. So, and for that. All right, we have to kind of do a song and dance with this here. And let me go full screen so you can see everything as much as possible. Yay, we're cooking with gas. All right. So it's me. All right, so archaeoastronomy, and what's that? It's basically, like I said, it's archaeology and astronomy all in one cute little package. And lots of people, when they think of archaeoastronomy or, ancient sky watchers, Stone Henge is the first thing that comes to mind, which is, of course, the most well-known. And then you've got underneath it, we've got Avebury, which is another henge or circle. It's the largest stone circle, which is only, I forget how many miles. It's not that far from Stonehenge. I've been there. I've been to both places. And it's so big, there's a little town in the middle of it. And outside of it, it pops up in cult films all the time because it's a neat place to film. The pyramids of Giza are also celestial aligned. You might have heard about alignments to that. They're not aligned to Orion's belt, but there are like the three. It's speculated that they might be representing Orion's belt, but there is the biggest one, the Great Pyramid of Khufu, has 2 air shafts on either side of the pyramid, and one of them is aligned to the North Star Thuban, or actually it's the North Star at the time, and I'll explain why that is. And the other one is aligned to Orion's belt, and each corner of the pyramid is aligned to the cardinal direction. So, of course, be able to do that 5,000 years ago, they had to really watch the sky and to get those cardinal directions very, very precise. And then down below is Newgrange, which is in Ireland. It's a tomb, or barrow, as they call it, and that has an alignment on the summer solstice, or the winter solstice. The sun rises and peers in that door there, and they live stream that every year, so that's really cool. If you can't get out to Ireland and see it itself, which is, they limit it obviously because it's a ancient burial site, you can always watch it on very early in the morning. So I'm going to talk about American archaeoastronomy. Now, people probably don't realize that we don't have big stone hinges or pyramids here. Actually, we do have pyramids, I should say, but we have a Woodhenge in Cahokia, which is outside of Illinois. It's a huge Native American site. And then further out west in Arizona, in the Chaco Canyon area, there's the Sun Dagger in that. And then, of course, the plains, that we have all these medicine wheels that are very fascinating too. And there are hundreds more sites out there. And that's one of the cool things is, you can talk, each one of these items or places is an entire talk of itself. So since, this is supposed to be kind of a short talk and not, entire lecture. We're just going to briefly, scratch the surface. And there's, like I said, there's plenty of stuff out there Basically any ancient monument is going to have, is probably going to have some sort of alignment, just to, well, at least a lot of the ones I've seen, at least cardinal directions or something. They've got some sort of alignment out there, because of ceremonial reasons. If they're going to build something that big, they might as well, there's a lot of ceremony and effort goes into it. So, people are going to do that. All right. So how do we know these monuments are aligned other than, just watching them? Because again, archaeology itself is the study of prehistory. Before writing, you're looking at things, and especially Native Americans did not leave written records. And remember, in America, prehistory goes, to 1500s, 1600s, pre-contact. Whereas in Europe, prehistory, is 2000 Common Era, or even before. Writing's been around there, there for a lot longer. But and also, like, how do they build these monuments? So, say you're it's prehistory. You don't have books. You don't obviously have TV or radio, and so every morning you go out in the same spot, and there might be some mountains or hills or something in front of you, and you watch the sunrise and set, and you do that for an entire year, and you will notice that the sun actually has it makes a path in the sky. And if you do this over several years, you'll notice that the sun, repeats this pattern over and over. And so it'll have a point the furthest, it'll rise the furthest east on the summer solstice. It'll get to its highest point in the south, and then it'll set to the furthest west. And that's why our days are the longest. The summer solstice is the longest day because the sun has longer to travel. And then you'll notice that, and there's twice a year in the spring and the fall, the sun will basically be even. It'll rise and set in the same place. And on that, those are the equinoxes. And then in the wintertime, it's going to set, at the shortest day of the year, it's going to set its furthest, or its closest, or its less east position. My words are not working right now. And then it's going to, again, arise, closer to northeast, and then set closer to northwest. And it does this because, again, we're tilted. We're not straight up and down. And again, the positions of where the sun's going to rise and set are going to depend on, like, your latitude, your latitude, and also your altitude. How far north or south you are. Of course, if you're on the equator, it's not going to be as dramatic as you are, obviously, if you're going up to a place like Alaska or down to the South Pole, close to the South Pole, or like the tip of Chile or someplace. That's why, the days are, we have different lengths of daylight depending on what your is. So that's one way. So you do that. So say you don't want to go out every morning because, it's cold, it's raining. You feel like sleeping in the day. Prehistoric people can have a lie-in too. So instead of going out every day, you put a post or you put a marker out there. And again, then you can tell anybody, instead of saying, instead of remembering where that spot is, you've got a marker, and it could be a tree or a rock or something. And then you've got your, the beginnings of a solar calendar. You can, anybody can come to that spot and rise and fall. Oh, scheduled time has passed, but the video never started. Uh-oh. Kathy, you want to intervene on that, or I can keep going?
Keep going. As far as I know, we're live.
Okay. All right. So because I'm watching the feed on Facebook, and it just says the scheduled time has passed. Planned start time, but the video has never started. Huh. So maybe it still is. Oh, nope, it still is. I'm sorry. I must have been on the wrong page. Ignore me. All right. So we'll go back up. So again, so you're out there, you're watching the sunrise and set every day, or you're sending somebody out to do it. All right. So go down. So the other part of this equation is that we're also, the Earth is also tilted. We're also a big top. So it's actually probably the most perfect top in, on the planet. The entire planet's a top. So as you notice, if you've ever, played with the top, it'll spin straight up and down when it starts out, especially if it's going really fast. And as it slows down, it starts to wobble, and it makes a big, as it spins, it's gonna make a circle with its axis. Well, when the Earth does that, it's called precession, and it makes a wobble every 26,000 years. And depending on where we are in the wobble, it's the axis. Our axis is going to point to a different north in the sky. So remember, it's us moving, not the stars. Actually, the stars are moving too, but a lot slower. So 5,000 years ago, north was around Thuban, which is in the constellation of Draco. It's one of the what they call circumpolar constellations, which are those constellations that never rise or set. They're always up in the sky if you're above a certain latitude. Latitude. Not longitude, latitude. Again, I keep wanting to saying it like altitude, and that's wrong. Yes, if you're above a certain point north, there are north circumpolar constellations. There are southern circumpolar constellations as well, but I don't know them as well because, again, we're in the northern hemisphere, and those are the planetarium shows that I did. In fact, there's not a southern pole star. There's kind of a southern pole area on that. So that's why the pyramids, you've got that one air shaft in the pyramid of Khufu that's pointing to Thuban instead of Polaris, because at that time that was north. As we go, further on now, our north is Polaris. It's almost Polaris. It's close enough to count, especially for land-based navigation purposes. And again, we can see, someplace even like Stone Henge, that alignment is off a bit because it was built so long ago that those alignments aren't precise. But again, scientists, astronomers can look at it and we can calculate, we know it was built around this time, or, the sun is rising at this point. It's, instead of, so if this was a solar, if this was the summer solstice, it would have been straight on, dead on aligned with this, this stone or between these stones here, but it's not. It's off 5-10 degrees or something like that. And they can calculate, well, since it's off this much, we can actually, go calculate where it would have been in time that would have been aligned. And that's kind of fun to do in the planetarium. You can actually do that in the planetarium. You can literally go back in time. You can rotate the star ball back, or, now most of them are digital. You can just plug in the coordinates and poof, you're back 3,000, 5,000 years, and see how all the, the alignments have changed. So, and then 13,000 years from now, we're going to be in Vega. This is in the constellation of Lyra. And we're going to pass through Deb, which is in the constellation of Cygnus the Swan. So, and in between there, north might be completely different. It's going to point to nothing, and we're going to just have to figure it out. So the first site I'd like to talk about is Cahokia. I've been there. It's a really super awesome site. If you're ever near St. Louis, it's worth a trip out to see it. It's about an hour outside of St. Louis on the Illinois side. Let me get the dates right. Let me get my little notes here. It's between 1050 and 1350 CE, and CE stands for Common Era, which instead of saying AD and Anno Domini, CE is the more is the updated term. Because again, not everybody's Christian, or not everybody does archaeology in Christian countries, so AD doesn't really make sense. So archaeologists and historians have started to use BCE for the Common Era, or in CE is Common Era, which is the equivalent to AD and BC. At its largest was about 1100 CE. It was about 6 miles in total. And it's a mound city. So if you look at this picture, there's a huge mound in the middle and lots of little mounds around. There's that central plaza that's kind of reminiscent of like Mayan or Aztec cities. We've got a big central mound, or a big central like pyramid. And then you've got kind of a big plaza in the, in front, and then houses or shops or, things all around it. And if you notice, how this is, again, an artist's interpretation of it, but based off of finds. And if you notice, they're not placed, all these little mounds and houses are not placed willy-nilly. They're very, they're strategically placed. There's, they're in little neighborhoods. They're in, they're nicely aligned, and they're, they're square up. And it's not like, somebody went and dropped marbles or pebbles or something. This is obviously a planned city, and there's larger mounds that look like they've got strategic placements, and again, smaller mounds around it. The tallest is the Mississippian culture, and again, they're along the Mississippi River. And at its height, this city was about 14,000 to 18,000 people, and it was larger than London at the time. So it's big deal. They had cities here in the Americas were just as big and just as sophisticated as European cities at the equivalent time. The biggest difference between like American archaeology, and this includes like Canada and Mexico, Central and South American, is that a lot of their artifacts and in their cities again are wood, which of course rots away. They're in jungles, which is very acidic, and that eats away everything. So even things like skeletons don't remain. So the only thing we really have are anything like pottery or stone. So it's very tricky. And then of course, like in places like Mexico, the jungle just eats everything. So people archaeologists will fly over with LiDAR, which is a type of ground penetrating radar, and they'll find whole cities that have just literally been eaten by the jungle and buried and forgotten because, it's overgrowth and everything. And they'll go in, and of course, the only things that are left are like the stone monuments and altars and burial goods that are pottery and things like that. So Monk's Mound, which is that big mound in the center, is the largest mound in North of Mexico. It's the second largest pyramid in the Americas, second only to the Pyramid of the Sun. And I believe Pyramid of the Sun is in, I'm completely blanking where that is. Somebody will put it in the comments and correct me. Because I want to say it's Teotihuacan, but it's not. That's right. That's not right. It's Chichen Itza. It's one of those. But there's 3 different types of mounds here in this city. So you can see some of them here. That's Monk's Mound, what it is now, with a road. That's the road going between it. So you literally drive by Monk's Mound. And there's these conical mounds you can see in the front. They also had what they call platform mounds, which are kind of, like truncated pyramids. And those usually had structures or houses on top of them. These conical mounds, a lot of them were burial mounds. And then they had these ridgetop mounds again, which were more burial mounds. And all along the Mississippi, like up, as far away as like Ohio, and then down into Alabama. If you've been to like Moundville in Alabama, or the Hopewell Monument or mounds in like Ohio, I've been there. It's the similar, it's the different time periods. Like the Hopewell culture is a later time period, but it's the same. These mound builders were all over kind of the middle part of the United States, and unfortunately, a lot of these mounds, most of them actually were bulldozed for farming or building or whatever. So a lot, the mounds here in Cahokia, I think there's about 80 out of 120 they've excavated and recreated. If they didn't exist, they've recreated them. But the rest of them gone. It's kind of like the East Coast was one big forest, before settlers came in and started, building cities and stuff. So what America is, even 200 years ago was very, very different than when it was, from pre-contact. So the neat thing about Cahokia is if you look at this, so they've got Monk's Mound here in the middle, and then they've got this ground plaza and mounds all around it. So instead of being precisely northwest, east, south, though you would expect Monk's Mound to be aligned perfectly to those cardinal directions, it was 5 degrees off. And that was like, why? What's the deal with that? Because it's precisely 5 degrees. And that's not something you just kind of screw up. And what archaeologists and astronomers have found out, that if you look at the two big glowing orbs on the corners there, those are the solstice points, the summer and winter solstice positions. And if you take that and you take the 18-year moon cycle, where the moon risings at their extreme positions, and you create a big square out of them, you get a big square that is a rectangle that is exactly 5 degrees off of north. How they figured this out is, that's incredible to me. And that takes, just observing over years and years and years. And you think, these people didn't have writing. They obviously had some sort of advanced mathematics or something to sit there and figure this out, because you just don't scrawl this on the dirt and say, hey, we're going to build our city like this. And like even the Mayans had trigonometry to do a lot of their stuff. They just did it with, in base 20 with literally pebbles and sticks. It's pretty amazing. So again, no written records survived. They might have had they might have had some sort of writing or, ways of counting and calculating. We just don't know. But obviously very, very sophisticated to figure out, let's make our entire city off 5 degrees with these positions. And then outside of Cahokia, or about a mile outside of Monk's Mound, is this Woodhenge. So they found, again, evidence of these wood posts that have been placed, precisely in the ground in a big, big circle with this little post in the middle. And again, they think it's some sort of solar calendar. No writing. But, if you observe it, you stand at the post and you face, again, you see Monk's Mound. Again, that's Monk's Mound off there in the distance. There are rising points. Winter solstice rises, over one post. Equinoxes rise right in front of it, and summer solstice rises, in front of there. So, and again, those other posts, probably have other meanings as well. Again, we can only guess. And then again, on the summer solstice, then there's a straight line between Woodhenge and Monk's Mound. So this, again, the city was very precisely planned out, and they took these alignments into consideration. It's, like I said, it's a super, super cool site. Their interpretive center is amazing. It's a really neat site. Again, if you're ever around St. Louis, it's with about an hour outside. It's worth the drive just to spend, a good day out there just wandering around. All right, so moving on. So we're going in the middle, the plains here, the Plains Indians. These are medicine wheels, there's hundreds of them all throughout the plains area, Wyoming, and up into Canada. And there's lots of stone circles out there, and a lot of them they think they're teepee anchors. And the big difference is these medicine wheels always have a central cairn, which is that big stone mound in the middle, and then they have these little smaller cairns around, and they have spokes. And some of them have a ring around them on the outside, some of them don't. This is the Big Horn medicine wheel in Wyoming, which is one of the biggest. And on that. And so the oldest one is in Majorville, Canada. It's about 5,000 years old. There's another one in Moose Mountain that's 2,000 years old. Bighorn is about 800 years old. They're always at the top of large hills or large mountains, like Bighorn's at the top of Bighorn Mountain. And the interesting thing is this is only, like, Bighorn is only really accessible to about 2 months out of the year, because it is on the top of a mountain and it's snow covered. So why would you go to building something like this if it's snow covered? You can only really use it for 2 days, 2 months out of the year. So John Eddy, he was an astronomer back in the 1970s. He went out and he used, this is something that wasn't really studied that much, and he goes out and he, figures, if it's out here and somebody went to all the trouble of dragging these rocks up here and creating the structure, it's got to mean something. It's not just something that, we're going to make a pretty design to make a pretty design. So he found out in the Bighorn that there are alignments, and so you've got your, summer solstice, depending on where you're sitting and where you're looking. There's this, summer solstice rise, And then there's star risings. And so they're called heliacal risings or heliacal. I'm not sure exactly, heliacal risings. And that's when you first see the star pop over the horizon, very briefly in the morning. And that's very important because that gives you a precise date. So only certain stars do this. Not all of them do this. And of course the important ones, he found that Aldebaran and Rigel and Aldebaran is in Taurus, Rigel is in Betelgeuse. No, Rigel is in Orion, and then Sirius is of course in Ursa Arcanus Major, the big dog. Fomlo, I gotta remember what Fomlo is in. I completely forget. I think it's in Puppis. It's a southern one. It's hard to see because it's especially from this altitude because it's really close to the horizon. But they found on that this big. Not all of them have Fomlo though, but 4 minutes. I turned the wrong page. Aha, there we go. So Aldebaran rises right before the summer solstice. So when if you're at, I guess, point F there and look over, once you see Aldebaran, that signals the summer solstice. Rigel is going to rise 28 days later, and Sirius is going to be 28 days after that. And they think maybe that was their signal to leave because the snows are going to come. The other interesting thing is there's 28 spokes to this wheel. And they think that mimics like their ceremonial lodges that also have 28 spokes. That's also the 28 days in a moon cycle, or approximately. So it may, that might be a connection there. And then the circle or the wheel that has Fomlo, that one appears 28 days before the solstice on that. So that's again, there hasn't been a lot of research done on these, which is something, if there's anybody budding archaeoastronomers out there, this would be a really cool thing to go out and look at. It's on my list of things to do. So on that, because there's, like I said, there's hundreds of them. They haven't really been studied, and they're all, and they're over, hundreds, a couple thousand to hundreds of years, and to see why they have the connection. And it's a Plains Indian thing on that. So moving on, we're now going down to the southwest and the ancestral Puebloans, which used to be called the Anasazi. So the current Puebloans, which are like the Hopi and the Zuni people, don't like the name Anasazi, even though that was that was the popular name up until recently. Anasazi is actually a Native American, a Navajo word. It means ancient enemy. But the modern, the current Puebloans are like, yeah, we don't like our ancestors being called enemies. Can you just call them ancestral Puebloans, please? And that's, so you'll see, the literature hasn't, I want to say it's fairly, like, within the past 20 years, has been updated on that. In fact, that's something common in Native American tribal names. There's like the names they call themselves, which is usually like some form of the people. Like Navajos call themselves the Dene, the people, and then they'll refer to other tribes as the enemy or those other people. And of course, whoever makes contact with them first, that's who, that's how they get the names. Oh, who are those? Oh, those, who are you? We're the people. Who are those people over there? Oh, that's the enemy. And that, depending on who you are, that's the name that kind of sticks. Unfortunately, so that's a lot of. If you see the literature where you've got different names for different tribes, it's like, why is this happening? It's because, tribes are kind of taking back their names and saying, we're really tired of being called the enemy because, somebody ran into our enemy tribe first. We like to be called, what we want to be called. So Chaco Canyon, or the Puebloan culture, ancient Puebloan culture, is about 900 CE to 1150. And of course, there's a lot, this pops up a lot in this big X-Files episode about it, and other big, pops up a lot in literature. And because it's like, what happened to them? You know, they just suddenly disappeared, and it's really, you know, not that big of a mystery. They think, you know, just climate change, or, you know, something shifted and they just moved. So it's not just, you know, aliens came and sucked them up, because it's kind of silly. But that was a big, you know, big theory for a while. But so they live in these round. You see the site. This is up there. Their sites have what they call kivas. So they're round, like rooms that are dug into the ground as ceremonial purposes, and they have their pueblo, their homes up around them. And some of them, of course, the homes are built in cliffs. Down below is Pueblo Bonito, which is a huge kiva. It's the largest one, and it would have had posts in it and a big roof. That was thought to have a celestial alignment. The big one with that was the summer solstice. You know, it comes through one of the windows, and that was a big alignment. But the problem with that is that was reconstructed. That site was reconstructed in the 1930s. So they're not quite sure if they reconstructed it exactly. Plus, they don't know what the roof looked like or what the interior structures look like, because, you know, they see the post holes there, but they don't know how, you know, what was holding up the roof or how it was holding up. So they don't know if things were blocked, if that window was actually blocked or not. And again, if it was in the proper place. So that is the thing, you know, you could go out and see this winter solstice rise through one of the windows, but it's questionable whether or not that's actually correct for the site. On that, because like I said, a lot of it's been reconstructed somewhat. But up they have this butte that's called Fajada Butte, and the fun thing about this is just by sheer coincidence, there's an artist that was helping catalog and draw the petroglyphs, the rock art that's, you know, all over this area. So she was climbing this butte all over it in 1977. Happened to be there around 11:15 on the solstice, and if you see, there's a circle in the middle of that big rock. It's kind of tiny, and there are 3 slabs of rock there. And she thought that was kind of interesting. And so she went over there and peered in, and there's a spiral, a sun spiral, which is very common in these petroglyphs. And I noticed that as, you know, the day, you know, the minutes went on, the light that was coming from these slabs created this sun dagger. They call it a sun dagger through the middle of that spiral. And she's like, whoa, I wonder if this happens all the time. And so then, you know, people went out and studied it and found that, yes, on the summer solstice, and you know, that again, the sun goes through those slabs of rock, and it's right in the middle. On the equinoxes, it's off to the side, and then the winter solstice, and there's also another little one too. There's the big spiral, and then there's a little one up to the left of it. And then the winter solstice, there are 2 that the sun goes through 2 of the slabs, and there's a dagger on either side. Unfortunately, this site kind of got overrun afterwards, and it was shut down in the 80s because those poor slabs have now shifted. So unfortunately, you can't go and see it anymore, and the alignment isn't there, which is sad. But and they think this is just, you know, again, it's a question of, is this a natural phenomenon? Because it's, you know, who's going to drag slabs of rock up there in that particular site? You know, it's just, you know, did they, you know, the people just happen to, you know, say, hey, this is kind of neat. Watch the sun, you know, go through this rock, and create this art, or create this, you know, sun dagger on it. The other interesting thing is this is obviously, you know, is this a calendar, or is this, you know, kind of a ceremonial thing? Because it's, you know, it's not, you know, it was obviously drawn after the fact. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't like a, you know, setting up like a henge or a, you know, observatory or something. But it's something they observed and created this art around it, which is still really interesting. So if you're interested in more of this, Living the Sky by Ray Williamson. It's an older book, but it's still really good. Like, it's an older book. They still have Anasazi in it. But he goes through like all, Native Americans, and lots of stuff. Covers everything that I've covered and tons more. And there's one I just got, this Sinagua Sunwatchers heritage site in Arizona that I just learned about. I was like, ooh. And that's huge. So I'm pretty excited about that too. But like I said, I just wanted to cover a few, like this, literally scratching the surface, because there's so much stuff out there. Like Serpent Mound in southern Ohio has alignments. And that, other medicine wheels, there's lots of those out there. There's other Hovenweep, which is another structure in the Chaco area, the Chaco Canyon area, is like another ancient observatory. Maya has its own, that's its own lecture right there. I mean, that's its own course and dissertations. They do some cool things with observing Venus on there. So I will stop sharing, and if people have questions, I will happily take them. Hopefully you guys are still around.
So we do have a question from Jennifer Bartlett.
Awesome.
Can you see that on your screen?
Let me get back to it. All right. Let me go back to, here we go. To StreamYard. Looks live to me. Oh, thanks, John. What sites are most threatened? What's are most worth visiting? Oh, Girl of the Sun is at 2. Oh, Teotihuacan. Okay, yay. Wow. What sites are most threatened? Right now, pretty much all of them. Thanks, current administration.
Can you talk a little bit about why sites are threatened?
Yeah, so, gosh. Well, it's funding. First of all, there's, currently pandemic, so sites are being shut down. Or they're closed, so they're not getting the income from visitors on that. Especially out west, I know, like what's the, like, Big Ears, what's the monument, staircase, grand staircase, I believe, is mining rights. So they're encroaching, especially like Chaco area, that whole entire Four Corners area, again, is being encroached in on with mining rights. Again, anytime BLM shuts down or furloughs, and Park Service furloughs yahoos and their RVs like to go yahooing around these sites, because they just, they don't have the policing that they do. And especially BLM is like one officer per hundreds of acres. It's ridiculous. And it's really sad because it's, a lot of these artifacts are literally just on the ground. So in order to, like, even interpret a big site, you're looking at, a big structure. Well, to put that in context, you're still looking at, the bits of pottery that you find on the ground, or the, the projectile points, or the flakes, or whatever, or even charred bits of firewood. You can actually date stuff from that. So if you've got, people coming in and zooming around on their RVs, churning up the soil, and destroying, what the natural, what it naturally looks like, and your layers, and digging in, and that it destroys any context. So you don't know, it could have been, you could have had like 4 pieces of pottery and a nice, layers, and then somebody comes through and churns them all up, and then you have no reference.
So basically you're saying that a lot of these sites, in spite of their age, in spite of the fact that some of them are quite large, they're actually very fragile, and that one of the things that responsible people, if we want to be able to enjoy these sites and learn from them, we really need to respect them and in some ways stay away from them.
Well, you need to like, well, stay on the paths, and then like even like the Chaco Canyon, like anytime you go to any of those sites, especially out west, when the artifacts are like on the surface, you can find these things on the surface. Not so much the east, because we've got grass and stuff that grows up, but out west, it's drier. They say don't pick anything up. If you see, pieces of pottery, if you see that, you're taking it out of context. And even though you think it might be kind of cool, it's like, look, I found a piece of pottery. You know, they're going to be like, okay, but now we don't know what other artifacts are around it. That gives us more clues. You know, the rest of the pot could be there somewhere. So yeah, it's again, it's kind of like, you know, when you go hiking, leave no trace, you know, leave only footprints, take your trash with you, take only pictures type stuff. And it's the same thing. You know, report people who are, and there's like, there's this one, was it scary things or creepy things on Instagram who's like horrible and went and spray painted over the petroglyphs a couple years ago. And she's like, you know, why did I do this? And she posted this thing on Instagram and it was like, you did what? And yeah, national parks, I think, finally found her and hopefully, you know, sent her to jail. So yeah, people do stupid things like that. A Boy Scout pushed over, was it an arches or something? It's one of those, you know, the natural, you know, kind of like standing stones that like form little triliths or something. Yeah, stupid Boy Scout. You know, it was a Boy Scout leader too. It was like, oh look, poofs. And then, you know, it stood there for 1,000 years and didn't survive the Boy Scouts. And I'm just like, oh man. So yeah, do that. I mean, give money to them, you know, support your local archaeologists, vote for people who want to preserve these things. And that's the, you know, that's protection.
So Jim Edwards Hewitt recommends Serpent Mound.
Yeah, Southern Ohio.
See, I'm going to pop up another question here. You see that from Brian?
Ancient sites of alignments near the East Coast. The closest one that I know of is like Ohio's, the Mounds in Ohio. I was looking that up because it's
nothing really close to Virginia, where most of our planetarium friends are based.
Right. Yeah, there's yeah, Florida, they seem possible ones. I think, and I wanted to look more. I knew that probably would come up, but I think it's just because this entire area was forest. So these monuments, a lot of them, they're either in open plains where you've got a clear view of the horizon and you can see these risings and settings very clearly, or they're up top of tall mountains or hills or platforms. So you can see them. There is a site up in New Hampshire called America's Stone Henge. It's very woo. And it's privately owned, but there's not a lot of archaeology. The owners don't allow a lot of archaeology, and they claim it was, blah, 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 prehistoric druids or whatever. And people think it's probably was just made by settlers in the 1800s. I've been there just because I wanted to see it, and it is very woo. It is a neat site, and it has got some, you know, little things, but yeah, they don't allow.
Where in New Hampshire?
Haverhill, New Hampshire.
But you said it's privately owned, so you would have to make
privately owned. Yeah, no, well, I mean, it's open to the public. I mean, but it's a private site, so it's, you know, so they can control what they are, you know, and it's only like less than an acre of archaeology has been done. I mean, there's a very small amount, and it's not even on the main site. So, and then I'm sure they do that so they, you know, they don't, you know, they don't blow it out of the water and say, yeah, no, this only dates to 1850. Sorry, it's really the, you know, the structures of somebody's mill house or something. But you know, and there's some cool little petroglyphs on the rocks. But again, you could have picked those. Those could have been there, and you know that happens all the time where farmers just pick up big rocks and move them. So yeah, bummer.
Do we have any other questions? I know that, you know, the live stream is a little behind, so if people are entering questions right now, we're not going to see them for a few seconds. So if there's anything else you want to say while we're waiting to see if any more questions come in, how can people get in touch with you if they want to find out more?
Oh yeah, actually, you could probably just leave through the planetarium. That would probably be the easiest.
Okay.
I was Jennifer saying, like, what sites are most worth visiting? Any of them. They're all, even to me, like little dinky mounds are cool. I mean, there's some sites that are literally just one little mound. And other sites that are, you know, they're of course the big sites and stuff. They just, you know, just go out there. You just sometimes put details of the books that you suggested in the comments. Oh yeah, I can just post them. I'll post them to the Facebook page.
Okay.
And do that. Yeah. And again, National Park Service, you know, if you look up the sites on that. So yeah, that's my in-laws live out that way, so it's one of these years, you know, when we can travel again safely.
And have you ever visited any of the Mayan sites?
No, again, it's on my list.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I haven't gotten into Mexico yet. I've done some European sites.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done, some of the Native American sites, but yeah. Chichen Itza, Teotihuacan on my list because they're super cool.
Okay. Well, we'll wait just a few more seconds to see if anybody else has any more questions that they want to post in the comments. But otherwise, I want to thank you for helping us out here, for talking to us about archaeoastronomy in the Americas. And we hope that we can bring you some more live talks in the future, and that you will continue to support the Friends of the Planetarium and the Arlington Planetarium when we hopefully will reopen it in a year or so. And I'm not seeing any more questions coming in at the moment, so I'm going to assume that everyone is cool. We will go ahead and have you post information about the books in the comments, and I guess that's for now. We will say goodbye, and we will hopefully bring you another talk soon. Thanks so much.
Thanks, everyone. Yeah, thanks, guys.